For those who are non-residents, very, very important right now is actually the greatest time ever, and I think in the history of SARS, to make sure that you follow the process. And we do have a great team. We do offer free consultations that will assist in planning your exit to make sure that you are under the correct status, and we submit your tax returns accordingly.
So, Bali, it has been a while. I'm not going to lie, I've missed this. So, I'm very excited today. Also, to be sitting on the other side of the chair, being the interviewer on a topic I know we've covered on various top aspects, if I could say,
Yeah.
but why it's more so now important than ever. So, you've just published an article,
Yes.
which I'm going to promote to the readers and listeners. I'll give a read after this, but I hope that at least today you
Yeah.
shared some very important insight to whoever is tuning in.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, John Paul. It's been a while.
Mm.
It is great to do another interview together, but I think right now would be such a crucial time, especially seeing that it is filing season. And it would be very prudent for the listeners and the viewers to understand why it's important, when to seize your tax residency, and how to do it.
Perfect. So I think at this stage, I've got numerous questions running through my mind.
Yeah.
But at this stage, I'll start with the big one. Why is it important for me to cease my tax residence in South Africa?
Okay. Very, very fair question. And I think just to start off the conversation, one needs to understand the fundamentals. So, South Africa does work on a tax residency based system. And what this means in simple terms is that one is either considered to be either tax resident or non resident. So, a lot of people don't know, but your status does very much determine your taxing obligation. So, it's very important, one, to determine, are you considered a tax resident for taxing purposes, or are you considered as a non-resident? Now, as a tax resident, your taxing obligation would include having to declare your foreign income. So, for those South Africans living and working abroad, it's very important for them to protect their foreign income, and that's when they would have to cease their tax residency to become a non resident so that they make sure that their foreign income is protected. And anything that is still earned or accrued in South Africa would then be taxed accordingly.
So, very good answer. I completely agree. And
Mm.
I think that's normally the starting point of where we have to explain to clients of why they have to go through the process.
Yeah,
I know tax in general is not a very most favorable topic for individuals.
very daunting.
So correct. So having to go through a process of dealing with SARS
Mm,
is something that me as an individual would definitely procrastinate for as long as possible.
yeah.
So I do see that with my clients as well.
Mm.
So big question being, if it's that important, when is the right time then for me to cease my tax residency?
100% JP. So a lot of people are kind of confused when to start the process, mostly typically because they don't know about it, or they fear that it will interfere with their citizenship. So the idea of when to start the process would be as soon as you know that your intention is not to come back, one would have to look into either seizing through financial migration. If they do know, you've got those people who work abroad remotely for short periods of time, they could consider a double tax agreement. But very important to note, not all countries have double tax agreements. And then for those who are earning below the threshold, they can make use of the foreign exemption. So the question of when to do it, as soon as you know that you've been given a great job opportunity or you want to explore your options abroad, kind of get in touch with an expat, and we can guide on when to do the process.
If I may, I know this is actually not something that you thought I was going to ask, but I'm going
Yeah.
to throw a spanner in the works if it's okay.
Okay.
Uh, we notice a lot more nomad workers or remote workers who we call
100%.
them swallows. They
Yeah,
follow the
followers.
sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the office is their laptop. So
Yes.
they're in South Africa for summer. They're in the UK for summer.
Mm.
California. Someone like that, for example, is not set in a country, or
Yeah.
maybe it's not even an employee for someone who just
Mm.
travels the world like that. Is this something also that would be incredibly important for them as well to do?
100%. So that's a great question. SARS is very wary of swallowers. So you need to find a standing or have some legal standing somewhere in the world. So you need to make sure that even if you are not set in one country, you get in touch so that we can advise. I mean, we do have a great team where we can advise and explore what is possible and best way to handle your tax situations, especially if you are traveling with your laptop. So yeah,
That is the dream. I mean, for a lot of people, yeah. Well,
100%.
unless you're scared of flying. But the other interesting thing is maybe another spanner, but in terms of obviously, there's the process of double tax agreement ceasing
Yeah,
and financial immigration ceasing.
yeah.
The process of confirming that you're tax liable in the terms of financial immigration and a tax resident of the double tax agreement. Um, when you're a swallow or someone who follows the sun or a nomad worker,
Mm,
it's very hard sometimes to do that. Is that,
100%.
is that a legal requirement from SARS in terms of us getting or me having a successful application to cease my tax residency?
So I'll give you an example similar to our digital nomads, seafarers. It's very similar in a sense where they live on the sea and it's kind of hard to determine where is their placement. So typically for those, we would look at where is the establishment. So where are they hired? So a lot of them the US. So we would use that as a basis, as a premise of that's where they are residing.
That's very, very interesting. Actually, I encountered that quite a lot, and
Yeah.
very, very interesting answer. So now I will go back to some of the questions that I've let you know that I will ask you.
Yeah.
But I thought those two are very interesting ones. Another big question:
Yeah.
how do I go about ceasing my tax residency? So let's say you've convinced me now. I will not procrastinate doing this.
Yeah.
I'll get it done because it's important, as you've explained.
100%.
But how exactly do I go about doing this? If I may add a qualification, a lot of questions I get is it going to open up a can of worms with SARS?
Mm.
Because that's generally the last thing clients want to do.
Yeah.
Because often the case is once they've left the borders of South Africa,
Mm.
the tax compliance stays behind as well. So a lot of them are non-compliant.
Yeah.
So we don't want to open that can of worms.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? And how do I go about doing this?
Yeah, so great question. So, also in practice, if I may share, you have people who've previously done the process. So the process on how to seize tax residency has changed. So prior to March 2021, it was more of a SOB process where it was an MP33B process where you could get or approach a bank to apply for you. But it's very important to note that it's not going to open a can of worms if we backdate it. So a backdated application will help us to protect whatever you have been earning from the point of exit from South Africa to now. So in terms of being scared, I wouldn't suggest following the head in the sand approach. Rather, approach myself or yourself where we can do great planning and backdate to make sure that nothing is you're not liable for anything in terms of SARS.
And before I just follow up on that is, I mean, I don't know your experience in
Yeah,
this with clients, but some clients, understandably so, tax is scary. SARS is also a very well operated
yeah,
department in South Africa, and it's renowned around the world for
mm,
operating incredibly well. So a lot of clients are incredibly scared or cautious or anxious about it.
yeah,
And I don't know how you would deal with it, but normally what I would tell them is whatever is happening in terms of that can of worms is not being opened by us ceasing your tax residency
100%.
or having a look at your e-filing profile. It's
Mm,
going on. We just don't know about it.
mm,
So that's normally something that I always mention
yeah,
because Delano, one of our colleagues, actually, I learned this from him. You don't leave the grass growing under your feet. So
mm,
that's been very helpful. So I don't know how much you come across that in the sense of where clients are under the misinterpretation or misunderstanding that doing this process actually triggers non-compliance and
mm,
then the can
mm,
of worms.
yeah. I mean, it is something that I also see in practice. They're very hesitant to start or to even engage with us because they feel as
Mm.
though we are gonna wake sleeping dogs. But what I like is that we follow such a very careful approach in making sure we know what's happening without actually triggering SARS, so that when we actually do the process of applying for your cessation, we know what your legal standing is in terms of SARS.
Mm.
Should you be non-compliant, unfortunately, there are instances that you'll definitely have to handle that. And for example, that would be if there's any penalties or any liabilities, very important for one to settle those. But where there's nothing flagged by SARS, your status is still compliant, we can, proceed with the application and make sure that you get compliance and have your correct status.
Very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. And I mean, I think just two comments. As you said, we are in filing season,
Mm.
is for listeners to know that
Yes.
penalties are levied monthly with SARS.
100%.
So that's one thing. So in terms of my procrastination,
Mm-hmm.
and for those who are out there listening as well, very similar to myself, please do not, because every month it will literally double. Um,
100%.
and then in terms of another maybe curveball in terms of a question,
Yeah.
very interesting topic as well, which I know we've got a CPD webinar coming up to really delve into this.
Hmm.
But SARS has recently changed your tax return filing system
Yes.
for non-residents to make it more tailored towards them.
Yeah.
If I could ask, what does it mean to you? And there's no
Yeah.
right or wrong or legal answer here. But I do think that is something that is noteworthy for
Mm.
for listeners to be aware of. You know.
Yeah, I think that's a great note. I think on the 28th of July, SARS did issue a note to say there is a specific questionnaire tailored for non-residents specifically. So typically, one would have one uniform, form, and they'd only claim the exemption if need be. But now we see that they are more stringent in a sense that you must be compliant, you must know what your tax status. So when you approach your filing this filing season, when you say you're a tax resident, you must be a tax resident. If you're non-resident, you must ensure that you have your non-residency confirmation letter before you even submit. So what I'm seeing is that they've made it a lot easier, but they're also strategic in a sense of they want to make sure that you have correctly seized your tax
Yeah.
residency.
So if I'm correct, I'd add a summary by saying they've made it tailored for non-tax residents because
Yeah,
there's a bigger focus on them.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
And appreciate that. And before I get to ask where we can find your article and obviously read a bit more on this,
Yeah,
is I know we had African Newsroom come to our office the other day to interview
yeah,
you, also talking about the focus on expats.
100%. Yeah.
So, in terms of that, and just following on from this previous question of mine, that even your questionnaire for your tax return is not
Mm,
tailored for non-tax residents.
yeah.
There's a lot of things going on in terms of automatic sharing of information, third-party data sharing of information.
Correct.
I was at the Isle of Man in Durban the other day, and
Mm,
a very scary story one of the presenters told was a gentleman in Australia has been abroad
mm,
for 10 years, and he got a call on his cell phone from SARS
sure.
saying, "Look, hello, nice to
Yeah.
chat. You owe us some cash."
Yeah.
You know, so SARS really are ramping up their kind of focus and the targets of expats. So, in terms of your expertise,
Mm,
any closing comments or guidance or just words of caution
yeah.
that we could give to our listeners?
I think we are at such a critical time in terms of, SARS focus. You are referring to Project AmaBillion, where they are specifically, SARS is embarking on a journey to collect taxes that's due to them. So the focus is on expats, but it's very important to also know that residents are not sidelined as well. So it's also very important to get compliant this filing season. If you're a tax resident, make sure that you declare all income. And then for those who are non-residents, very, very important right now is actually the greatest time ever, and I think in the history of SARS, to make sure that you follow the process. And we do have a great team. We do offer free consultations that will assist in planning your exit to make sure that you are under the correct status, and we submit your tax returns
Mm.
accordingly.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And in terms of if anyone wants to give your article a read,
Yeah.
which I do recommend for everyone who has listened. Obviously, we can only cover so much on
Yeah.
a podcast. Can't keep people too long. I could
Yeah.
sit here for another 2 days to talk about this with all the developments. But if we wanted to find your
Mm.
article, where would we be able to find it? Do we reach out directly to yourself, or
Yeah.
has it been published anywhere on medias that we can
So
find?
so it did very well. Cape Town has published it, Daily Investment.
Okay,
So but more than welcome to reach out to me, have a call and just have a strategic exit.
perfect. Thank you very much for that. And not that I'm planning to leave anytime soon, but when I do, I will not be procrastinating anything anymore. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And what I would like to propose is that we do a follow-up session very soon, just covering some of the other aspects that have been
Yeah.
developed in terms of this area of law as well.
100%.
But as always, a pleasure. And thank you very much for your insights, and looking forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank you so much, JP, and thank you to all the viewers.